need a cart for your kayak. You know it, I know it, your kayak knows it. Hey everybody, Denny here with Float Fish Adventures. So, when it comes to kayak carts, you have pretty much everything falls into one of three categories. You have your high-end carts that run between $100 and $200. You have your budget carts that run between, $30 and $50. And then you have all of the different do-it-yourself varieties. And I think a lot of people, they know they need a cart. They start looking at carts. They look at the high-end carts. They get maybe a little sticker shock, or, they can't quite justify spending that much money on a cart that they feel like they're not going to use very often. You look at the budget carts and you think, well, a lot of times, you get what you pay for, and if you're going to spend $40 on a budget cart that turns out to be a piece of junk, you may as well just try and build something yourself, which is why I think a lot of people, lean towards the do-it-yourself solutions for the carts. So I do have one of the budget carts. I've gotten 2 full years of use out of it. So I'm going to give you just a quick review about my experience with it. I'm going to we'll go over the pros and cons, based on my use. And then I'm going to give you a couple of huge tips that will make life a lot easier for you if you have one of these carts at the end, or as we get into the cons. So first off, the pros, the price. I think I paid $35 for this one. If you watch them on Amazon, there's a bunch of different versions of it that, branded differently, and they tend to run, like I said, between $30 and $50. I think I paid $35 for this one, so the price is a win. Secondly, they're pretty durable. The aluminum with the bends is fairly rigid. It says it's got a 150-pound weight capacity. I guarantee you that I put more than that on it. I've had my Kilroy loaded up with camping gear and a live well full of water and bluegill and carted down level B roads, so they're absolutely durable. I mean, the frame on it is not going to break. It's just not. So that's also another win. Also, they break down. They're pretty compact when they break down. They fold up nice and flat, and the wheels, if you want to take the wheels off, the wheels come off. So you can put the wheels in your hatch, possibly, depending on the size of your hatch. What I actually do a lot of times is I leave the wheels on and I just strap it to the back of my kayak. So it does break down pretty small if you have to actually take it out on the water with you. So those are all positives. So the cons. Let's talk about a few of the cons, and then I'll point out ways that you can sort of minimize the negative aspect of the negatives. First off, the big thing is going to be the wheels. Number one, these things stink to high heaven. When I opened it up, when I got it, it smelled like the entire tire factory was in that box. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I let these wheels sit outside, not outside in my garage, outside of my garage for a month before I could drive around with the cart in the back of my SUV, or just have it sitting in my garage and not smell it when I walked in. So, they're pretty pungent when they're new and you first get them. You just leave them sit out, and that's, that the smell goes away. So that's not really a giant deal. That's just something to be aware of. The other thing is, they're air tires, right? So you run the risk of them going flat. The couple things you can do. First off, it's not a bad idea if you're going to be out in the field. It's not a bad idea to have a hand pump in your vehicle with you. Or some way to inflate them if something happens and one goes flat and you need to inflate it. That's definitely one thing you could do. You could also fill it with foam, and that's something I've considered. I've had them for 2 years. I have not filled them with foam yet. The main reason I haven't is because I know it will add some weight, and it's irreversible, and I sort of struggle with doing something and then being afraid that I'm going to regret it afterwards. So probably at some point I will fill them with foam so I know that they're more or less indestructible. But for now, they're filled with air. And if you're going to leave yours filled with air, just realize that there are certain, risks inherent to any tire that's an air tire. Also, these tires, they're not going to shed mud. They'll get you through sand or grass or dirt, mud. They will, but mud, especially like river mud will start to cake on it, and it'll get muddy enough to where you've got mud wedging in through here, and then it will sort of push the mud off as it needs to, but you'll have to take the wheels off and bang the mud off if you go through really, really serious nonsense with it. So, there are other tires, wheels that are the no-flat wheels on some of the higher-end kayaks. They're better at shedding mud. These aren't going to do that. That's just also something to be aware of. One other thing that would be it could be a potential negative or con that you can definitely get around, these linch pins. These linch pins will come off. So I've had a couple of times where I've been carting down, a level B road, and suddenly a wheel comes off and everything kind of falls, and putting the wheel back on is no big deal. But what happens is this has come out, and then I've made it some distance before the wheel came off, so I have to go back and find this. That happened once. And so now I just make sure I have a couple of extra linch pins, got them from Menards for like 50 cents a piece. They're part of my repair kit that's in the hatch of my kayak. So if one does come off and I don't have a pin, and I don't see it laying around there, I have a backup pin. So I guess the point is, be aware these can come off on their own, and you should definitely have a spare or two in case it comes off and you can't find it. Other than that, the only real negative is the strap that comes with it and the way that it's intended to be strapped. So they come with a strap. It's garbage. I don't even know where mine's at now. I think I might have just thrown it out. I probably repurposed it for something else. But the idea is you run the strap under here and then around your kayak to cinch it down. And that doesn't, it works if all you're doing is from your vehicle down a boat ramp. Then it's going to be fine. If you're doing any sort of off-road terrain where you've got some of this going on while you're karting, that will allow... Okay, so first off, I don't use the strap that came with it. I use a ratchet strap so I can cinch down a little tighter. I'm just careful with it, and that's fine, and it works good. But even with the ratchet strap strapped just this way, this will shift and move under your kayak and cause problems. The solution is super, super easy. The solution for that is these. These are soft tie-down straps. I got these at Menards, the 2-pack for $1, right? So $1 for both these. And what you do is you run these through this bar. This is the bar that, the one that turns and shifts here, that folds in. You put these on the bend. Put these on the bend of this bar. And then when you set your kayak on it, you use these to strap it down. And having these straps will allow you to strap your kayak to the cart. It will cinch it down nice and tight without running the buckles or anything into the side of your kayak, into the plastic down around your hull. And also it will hold it really, really stable, so it doesn't move or shift under your kayak. So you can get on terrain that's a lot more rugged and not worry about the cart shifting or moving underneath your kayak. So these are a lifesaver when it comes to actually using this kayak cart. The other thing I would just say, just as a tip, when you're going to use the cart or any cart, you want to make sure that you're getting it pretty centered under your kayak from front to back. You don't want to put it towards the back end and then lift the front, because then you're lifting all the weight. You want to actually get it sort of so that it's more or less very close to center, right, like a teeter-totter, so that the weight, so that it's easy to lift the front of your kayak to pull it. So, as long as you can carry a lot more weight and move it a lot more easily if you've got it centered more or less under your seat. So that's just a tip for using the carts in general. So, bottom line with this thing, like I said, I've had mine for 2 seasons. I run through a lot of off-road karting, and once I started using these straps, I have not had any problems really at all with this cart. No complaints. So, if you can afford a high-end cart, I recommend it. The wheels are going to be better. If you can't justify it, you can't afford it, you just don't feel like that you have the need for that much cart, if you're going to try and build something yourself, you're going to spend time and you're going to drop at least 20 bucks, probably closer to 30 by the time you're done if you're lucky. In my personal opinion, you're better off Spend, $30 to $50 for the budget cart. Get it, be done with it. Make sure you get the extra tie-down straps to use, and it will absolutely serve its purpose for whatever you need it to do. Spend what you need, don't spend more than you have to, and protect your investment. You'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching. Until next time, paddle up. Let's go looking for a fight.